The Giants decided to do a big shakeup this week by firing head coach Brian Daboll, their former coach of the year. But was this a situation where the Giants ownership got a little too, impatient like they tend to do, or did they make the right move firing Daboll this early? So in today's video, we're going to answer that question. But before we get too much further, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. It really does help me grow here, getting that algorithm. And as always, I want to thank today's video sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is one of the best daily fantasy sites that you can use. It is something that I use every single week. On Saturdays, I make videos and build lineups, and you can do the same. Using my code TJS for first-time users, you will get a bonus of 100 bonus funds for a $5 wager that is placed. That is 100 bonus dollars for one $5 wager using my code TJS. I'd like to thank Underdog Fantasy for the partnership, and it really does help the channel out here, so please feel free to do that. And join me on Saturdays where we do live picks, just picking those higher and lowers, and trying to win that winning ticket. But let's get right to the video. Brian Daboll has been the Giants head coach since January 28th of 2022. He has had an interesting journey getting to the NFL. He played defensive back at the University of Rochester, a Division III school. That led to becoming a graduate assistant at William & Mary, and then moving on to Michigan State, followed by stints with the Patriots, the Jets, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, and the Browns. Where he really got noticed was when he became the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills and turned Josh Allen from a projected bust into a very certified star of the NFL. This led to his reputation of being a quarterback whisperer, and obviously that's something a lot of teams want. Enter the Giants. The Giants went 4-13 in 2021, and this led to the firing of head coach Joe Judge. Once Judge was fired, as always, the coaching search went out, and Daboll became the Giants' main target, not only for, what he has done with the quarterbacks in his past, but specifically in Buffalo, they wanted to implement a similar system with their quarterback Daniel Jones and star running back Saquon Barkley. 2022 seemed like a great turnaround. They went 9-7-1, made the playoffs, and beat the Minnesota Vikings. Daniel Jones went for 3,205 yards, 708 rushing yards, and 15 total touchdowns. Barkley went for 1,312 yards and 10 touchdowns. Daboll wins Coach of the Year. He had the city believing in him, and that led to 2023. They went 6-11. Yeah, that's disappointing. They had a lot of offensive line injuries, not to mention Daniel Jones tore his ACL in Week 9. So there's kind of a couple of excuses there as why their record dropped the way it did. Not to mention, they had Saquon Barkley in a contract dispute and franchise tagged him, and Barkley wasn't really thrilled about that. All of that leading into 2024. Yeah, they went 3-14. They benched Daniel Jones and eventually released him to allow Jones to walk to the Minnesota Vikings. Barkley was allowed to leave in free agency to the Philadelphia Eagles, a division rival. They got nothing in return for him. Nothing. Not to mention, he got Offensive Player of the Year and won the Super Bowl with a division rival. This wasn't enough to get Daboll fired, nor the GM at that point. That leads us into 2025. The offseason, they acquired Russell Wilson. That was their big key quarterback signing. So it led everyone to believe that they were going to be drafting a quarterback, which they did. Not the one they thought. They got Jaxson Dart, which appears to be the right move if we're being honest with ourselves. But he didn't start Dart right away, which I was arguing he should have because his job was on the line and Dart was clearly the more talented quarterback between Wilson and himself. The Giants were led to an 0-3 record under Russell Wilson, not to mention losing Malik Neighbors for the season. They threw Jaxson Dart in there in Week 4 and he blossomed. They upset the Los Angeles Chargers, and it became Dart's job to retain. Once Dart became the starter for the Giants, they actually started looking like a competent team. It looked like they had something building. But there were a couple horrendous losses, specifically against the Denver Broncos, where they blew an 18-point lead. Not to mention that, Dart got hurt this week, and the Bears ended up coming back and beating them from a 10-point deficit. So two bad losses. The loss to the Bears was so bad that they actually fired him after the game, leaving Daboll's record as the Giants head coach at 20-40-1, a .333 winning percentage. And look, I'm not saying that the Giants didn't have reason to fire him. He did not have a great record. Starting 2-8 this season with 2 major blowout losses after the previous year of blowing, your entire season. Yeah, you were on thin ice to begin with. You had fourth quarter meltdowns and blew double-digit leads each time. The defense gave up 115 fourth quarter points so far this season. He wasn't decisive when it came to quarterback. He was playing carousel. He didn't trust in Jaxson Dart for some reason. He believed that Russell Wilson was going to be his answer in some way, shape, or form. We all knew that was a lie and that he was just buying time until they could actually play Jaxson Dart. And once they played Jaxson Dart, he actually looked much better. So that indecisiveness literally made him look like he couldn't actually scout talent on his own team, to the point where, because it wasn't just like, oh, he's a little better than Russell Wilson. No, that offense fell apart. Watch that Bears game. Once Dart got out of that game, literally the offense fell apart. Russell couldn't do anything. How is it that there was that much of a discrepancy on the field that we could all see it, but you can't see it on the day-to-day with these two gentlemen running your system, not to mention the film you're watching? How did it take 4 weeks to get Jaxson Dart to be the starter? How? And yeah, the Giants are the #1 sports market in the country. New York City is the largest sports market in possibly the world. Yeah, the Giants want to have a winning form of football. You want to have a winning team in the largest market in the world. And outside of that, wild card run that they had beating the Vikings, they really haven't had winning football since Eli Manning. So yeah, they need to change something. But I don't know if the Giants really made the right decision letting him go at this point in the season. I mean, not everything is his fault. First and foremost, he's shown that he can turn the team around. Look what he did his first season, turning that team from a 4-13 team into a playoff winner. 2, let's look at the injuries this year. They had Scadaboo literally almost tear his leg off, and that's a huge loss, especially for a kid who was literally coming into his own. The offensive line has had like 9 or 10 different combinations of offensive linemen this season, so they've been dealing with a ton of injuries. Their secondary's been hurt. There's been a lot of injuries this season, not to mention Dart's concussion. If he didn't get concussed in that Bears game, I think the Giants win that game. I really don't think the Bears get that comeback win. Also, Schoen is not doing him any favors whatsoever. He let Barkley walk for nothing. If he would have traded Barkley or signed him like he should have, they'd get multiple picks for him at least. If not, he'd still be a Giant. They put no contingency plan into a quarterback once Daniel Jones was gone. They didn't. Tommy DeVito? I mean, cool story and all, but he was not going to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. They drafted Dart, which again was the right decision over what the rumors were swirling, but didn't really help Daboll in the immediate. And yeah, the GM did no favors with Daboll, but yet Daboll was still trying to build a contender and be a competitor week in and week out. The Giants ownership group also shows that they are not patient with their coaches. They want a win now situation. But what they don't realize is that kind of turnover just delays the win now type situation, because you have to get a new coach, instill a new system, instill a new package for a young quarterback to have to swallow and develop while also learning the ins and outs of the NFL. It's not a good situation. That's why you want to get somebody long-term with these young quarterbacks. Firing a guy like Daboll, who turned Josh Allen from a potential bust into what he is today, is not the right kind of guy to fire, if you ask me. He's going to be somebody that is going to help Dart succeed. I mean, look what he has done already. Which brings me to my last point. Mid-season firings only hurt your development of your young quarterback. Because guess what? He's going to have to play out the rest of the season. And yeah, they're going to use a similar package of what he's doing now. He's going to get comfortable in it. But they're going to have to hire a new coach next year. They're not going to promote their OC. I don't think that's happening. Not. Hell no. So I think they're going to have to hire a coach. So who are they going to get? Who are they going to bring in that is going to make this kid feel comfortable and, basically adapt his skill set? It's hard to do. So the question is did the Giants make the right move firing Daboll? Short answer, yes. They made the right decision. But it's complicated. There's ways you could have done it. You could have waited till the end of the season like the Dolphins are doing with this legend.
Good old days, the throwbacks of yore where you could trust, the internet and the images, because, it is pretty detailed. I do live in that area, but, I mean, AI, right? I live in that area. AI is real. That's what I got for you. No, for the record, I did not answer it. That's the punchline of the humor.
You could have, given him a little more slack, because again, he's dealing with injuries. He didn't have Malik Neighbors. He didn't have Cam Scadaboo. He didn't have his star players, and they were still somewhat competing. I mean, they're 2-8, but they almost were 3-7. He does deserve some of the blame, though. Let's be honest. The late game collapses, the sideline blow-ups, the lack of adjustment, absolutely. But he was also handed a broken roster, no QB contingency plan, and lack of luck with injury, let's be honest. And that's the hardest part, is injuries are going to happen in the NFL. You need to account for that. But when it's literally your star receiver, your star running back, your quarterback constantly happening, it's hard to adjust, especially when you're in a rebuilding mode like the Giants are. The real problem is bad luck in ownership, because ownership should have been a little more patient, if you ask me. I think they should have at least waited till the end of the season, seen what they were able to do with Jaxson Dart, because again, he was looking much better. That team was looking much better under Dart than it was under Wilson, and I would have wanted to see how much they can improve. What if they would have, won out after this? Highly unlikely, but you could have seen things that are like, okay, these are the seeds for what's going to happen next season. So I ultimately do think they made the right move, but I think they did it at the wrong time. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments down below. Did they make the right move, or should they have waited? Should they have waited to the end of the season? Should they have kept him until next season? Let me know down in the comments down below. Once again, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Follow me on X. Share this video with anyone you know, and until the next one, have a good one.